A little over a week ago, I got some comments on an old video that I had put out. I put it out on April 13th of this year. I was talking about the death of the Kansas football player Brandon Bourbon and how his death was in connection to the Amtrak derailment that happened in Kansas on Pi Day 3/14. We also had another Amtrak derailment on April 3rd, 4/3. And I talked about how they're all interrelated to the Philadelphia train wreck last year, how it connects to Pope Francis, and a few other things. So anyway, I get a comment on this video on September 4th, and it's this person right here, supposedly his sister. My brother shot himself on April 2nd. He wasn't found until the 8th, which is why it is listed as the day of his death. I hate to derail your theory, but he has no connection to Philadelphia. Now, possibly this person is a real person. It truly is his sister. You know, maybe it's just one of them weird things that I'm talking about. And whatever, I don't know if they're brainwashing people to leave comments at certain times, or, you know, have some universal code and it just fits together. But it also could just be somebody using his sister's real name, making a fake profile. You know, whatever it is, it really doesn't matter. What I'm going to show you is exactly what I'm showing in every single one of my videos. I'm showing how everything is connected by the system of gematria that is used by the Freemasons and people alike who control our media. They control our sports leagues. They control the film industry. They control all of the propaganda that we've been trained to believe our whole entire lives. Now, I also got another comment the next day by this person, Madeline Lyons, who also said, I'm related to him. It's my half-brother's brother. And I'll show why that's significant here in a second. But I just want to analyze her comment as well. He shot himself on 4/2. The media story came out on 4/8. But what's interesting is the word Freemason equals 42 in gematria. The date numerology that he supposedly shot himself then is a date numerology of 42, and it was also the 93rd day of the year. 93, a very special number to them. Thelema, which a lot of them worship, equals 93. Saturn equals 93. You know, a ton more examples, but just wanted to point it out. It connects to Freemasonry. Exactly the kind of stuff I'm talking about. So this guy, Brandon Bourbon, he played for Kansas, the football team. His name in gematria, the small way, equals 65, just like if you write out Kansas. His name also 155, the big way. And that's why this sticks out so much, because if you go from the day that his sister says that he died and she derailed my theory, and you go to the day she left her comment, 155 days later, and, you know, his name equals 155, seems pretty strange. But trust me, it gets better, so hang on. There's a lot more 155. What I was reporting on the Brandon Bourbon story was the media story that came out on 4/8. That's, you know, there's a lot of times where the media, even though somebody does die before, they don't report it until days later. They did the same with the death of the Iowa football player Kyle Callaway, and they did that because his name equaled 60, and when they put the story out, it was 60 days before Iowa's first game. They also did it with the death of David Huddleston, the Big Lebowski. He died on 8/2. They didn't put the story out until 8/5. They do this in the media because when they put the stories out, it fits a certain agenda, and that's why they put them out at certain times. So anyway, on the media story of 4/8, he wore number 25, and it was 25 days after the Kansas Amtrak derailment. The word Jayhawk equals 25. Kansas is the Jayhawks. He was one of them, so he was a Jayhawk. I also mentioned how his death was connected to the NBA Finals because of the Philadelphia train wreck that was connected to the Golden State Warriors winning the finals in 2015. That train wreck happened at 9:23 p.m. LeBron James in Jewish gematria equals 923. We even had the movie Trainwreck that came out last summer, that the opening scene, Amy Schumer's character is 9 years old. The rest of the movie takes place 23 years later. And I even talked about how we had the death of Merle Haggard on 4/6, and I talked about how he was connected. Only 2 of his albums have the word train in the title. It was his 9th album and his 23rd album. And on April 3rd, there was another train derailment in Chester, Pennsylvania. And Chester, Pennsylvania is where Bam Margera is from, and Bam Margera has that movie Haggard. When you look up Haggard on Wikipedia, the only place they list is Haggard, Kansas, that just so happened to be in Gray County, Kansas, where the Kansas Amtrak derailment happened. And, there's a whole lot more. I'll leave some links in the description of the videos, my previous videos. But if you went from Pope Francis's birthday to that train wreck in Chester, Pennsylvania, it was a span of 108 days. And if you look up the Philadelphia train wreck history, the other one that was significant in Philadelphia was one that happened in 1943, and it was going 108 miles an hour. And right around the same time, we had Villanova win the college basketball tournament. Villanova equals 108, the Philadelphia team. The Golden State Warriors, originally from Philadelphia, made the NBA Finals and lost, but Golden State Warriors equals 108. If you just read out Haggard, it equals 108. If you read out 155, it equals 108. Just like, Brandon Bourbon equals 155. His sister supposedly messages me 155 days after what she tells me is his real death. And think about all of the 108 stuff that I've been mentioning. If you've been following my videos, I've talked a lot about it in regards to the Chicago Cubs. The Kansas Amtrak derailment that I was talking about with Brandon Bourbon was on its way to Chicago. It had 145 passengers. At least that's what it was originally reported. If you go to Wikipedia now, it says 144 people were on board. The original articles all said 145. And the reason that's significant is because Chicago, Illinois equals 145. If you read out 145, it equals 108. The Cubs haven't won a World Series in 108 years. The Willis Tower in Chicago is 108 stories tall. A baseball has 108 double stitches. Also, baseball began in the year 1871, 145 years ago. So this is also the Cubs' 145th season. And during that season, we had the Great Chicago Fire that happened on October 8th, 10/8. So lots of 108 that I've been mentioning about the Cubs and in regards to other things. And then 155 equals 108, and it's connected back to all of the stuff that I had mentioned previously. Makes me wonder, they want me to see the 108. Also, I went to his Facebook and I found some interesting videos that he posted, just a little bit before he died. Some very interesting videos that I'll show at the end of this. But one of the things that stuck out was that his mom's maiden name is I. And in my previous video, I even mentioned this picture right here with him in Ben Heaney, number 51 for the Oakland Raiders. I talked about how Cleveland hadn't won a sports championship in 51 years. Cleveland equals 51. Cleveland Cavs equal 51. LeBron James equals 51. Quicken Loans equaled 51. A ton of 51 around the Cleveland Cavaliers. And, I talked about this one eye symbolism. And then it just, his mom's maiden name is I. Just really stands out to me. It even said that she works at Kingston K through 14. Interesting. I've been talking all about Prince Charles and the King stuff. K through 14, K the 11th letter. Kingston 1114, Prince Charles' birthday 1114. Also, Prince equals 65, just like Brandon Bourbon, just like Kansas. We also had the death of Prince on Queen Elizabeth's 90th birthday. And, the Golden State Warriors even play in Oakland. I should have put it together back then. I just stuck with my Golden State Warriors pick in February because I was noticing all the back-to-back theming and whatnot, you know? But as I later learned, if you write out back-to-back, it equals 69. Cleveland Cavaliers also equals 69, so they were even connected to that theme. But really doesn't even matter to me who wins the sports championships. All of this stuff is coded to other things and other events, and that's what I'm more worried about. So anyway, in regards to this story, you know, Prince equals 65, Brandon Bourbon, Kansas all equals 65. I didn't talk about it in this video, but I wondered what the significance of bourbon was. And if you watch more of my videos, I talk about how King Charles I, the king during the English Civil War, he married Henrietta Marie of France, and she was from the House of Bourbon. And I made so many videos in regards to the English Civil War and Prince Charles and King Charles and Henrietta Marie. So him being the Bourbon more than likely is connected to that, you know, Bourbon Street. We've had all of the Louisiana connections. Louisiana connected back to France and Paris and the Paris attacks. Now we're even getting, you know, we got the Alton Sterling stuff. So no doubt this guy's name, his gematria, everything fit for the agenda for them to either kill him or he's just born into a Freemason family. It's completely fake. Either way, it's a lot of interesting stuff going into it. And the videos I'm going to show at the end, it make it seem like he knew something big was going on. And, you know, he was telling people to, like, not let them get into your subconscious. And he posts a video of Method Man and Old Dirty Bastard, and Old Dirty Bastard talking about the government and all that, you know, so regardless of what the true background is, it's completely coded by the numbers. It all fits the agenda. His sister's name in gematria equals 163. The other person who commented and said they were also related to him, their name equals 163. The 38th prime number is 163. Kansas, the small way, equals 38. The big way, it equals 65. The word Prince, the small way, equals 38. The big way, it equals 65, just like Kansas. Also, Kansas Jayhawks, 163, just like the two people who said they're related to him on my comments. If you write out 163, it equals 108, that big number that I talked about in the previous videos. So, September 14th, which interesting, I'm making this video today, and you know, this is the type of stuff I'm talking about. How is it being done? I didn't plan to make this video on this day whatsoever. If it was just a group of men sitting around writing the script and making things happen, then how does this type of stuff always happen to me? That's why I think it is a group of men who do sit down and do that, but there's also something bigger connected to it. You know, some type of code that's going on that I think they know about, possibly invented. You know, I think there's just something more, whatever you want to believe, you know. And I'm going to continue to say that until it stops happening to me, and then I'm even going to remember these times. And I report on them all of the time. I never even had that planned, you know, so it's just really strange. Moral of the story, it's just something bigger. I don't know if I'm being brainwashed, if it's demons, if it's magic. I don't truly know, but I know that it's happening. I'm sorry for rambling. It just blows my mind, you know? Anyway, to get back on topic, so 163 equals 108. September 14th, the day that leaves 108 days in the year. I've been talking a lot about William McKinley and the connections with Teddy Roosevelt. William McKinley assassinated. Teddy Roosevelt became the new president. I talked about Obama's visit to Omaha after his final State of the Union. Then he went to Baton Rouge the next day, gave a speech at McKinley High School, you know, where Alton Sterling died. Teddy Roosevelt gave a famous speech about carrying the big stick just days before McKinley died in Falcon Heights, Minnesota, where Philando Castile died. If you write out William McKinley equals 171, just like English Civil War. Also 72 the small way, which I'll get into in a minute. McKinley equals 38. just like Kansas, Prince. Roosevelt also equals 131, just like Prince Charles. You know, Super Bowl equals 131, championship equals 131 as well. I even showed that CNN article from 2012 or something that talked about Roosevelt saving the Super Bowl. So anyway, Brandon Bourbon then, he also dies 4 months, 11 days before his 25th birthday. Remember, he wore number 25, dies 25 days after the Kansas Amtrak derailment. Jayhawk equals 25. 4 months, 11 days, very interesting. The word assassin equals 411. You know, JFK died on 411 Elm Street. It's a number in regards to assassination. He also died, or was born on August 19th, the day that leaves 134 days in the year. King Charles III equals 134. And in my previous video on this, I talked about Ben Heaney, the Oakland Raider player, was born on May 13th, which was the 134th day this year. And I even put the video out on 13/4, April 13th, right? And 134 and May 13th was a number that YouTube kept showing me by doing this same type of stuff, leaving comments on old videos at weird times. You know, they copyright strike an old video at a weird time. I might have the video up for 2 years and then all of a sudden I get a copyright claim on it for absolutely no reason. And it always syncs back up to something that I was talking about and some of my current stuff. So also, if you go from what the media said his death day was to the NBA Finals when LeBron James won the NBA Finals, King James won on the real King James birthday, a span of 72 days. You know, William McKinley equals 72. In regards to the train symbolism, James Garfield, another president who was assassinated, he got shot at a train station on 7/2, and then he died on 9/19, a date that I have mentioned multiple times in regards to YouTube copyright claiming my videos. It always goes back to that date. Whether anything's going to happen on that date, who knows? Maybe it's just super symbolic, but they've definitely shown me that date multiple times. I mean, a lot of times. Anyway, he died also a span of 2 months, 11 days before the NBA Finals came to an end. And that's just super interesting because clear back in November, when I talked about the Cavs possibly being in the NBA Finals, it was because LeBron James shot 9 of 19 on November 2nd. And then on November 4th, the very next time they played, he shot 9 of 23. And that was very symbolic to Pope Francis and his visit to the United States. He began that trip on 9/19, and then he went to the White House at 9/23. On 9/23, he arrived in America on his 923rd day as Pope. LeBron James equals 923. The TV power went out in the World Series of Game 1. It went out at 9:19, and it came back on at 9:23 p.m. It was just super significant. And when LeBron James shot 9 of 23, that was also the game where he ripped his sleeves off. It was just a really symbolic game, but it was also 211 days before the NBA Finals began. Even the Cavs coach, Tyronn Lue, the former Nebraska Cornhusker, when he first played in the NBA, he debuted on 2/11. In regards to the story, I guess, Brandon Kyle Bourbon is his name, BKB, his initials 211-2, a lot like 211 both ways. Could also be 222, which is interesting. The word Amtrak equals 222. Nebraska Cornhuskers equals 222. So let's look at some of the videos that he put on Facebook just before he died. This one was the one with Old Dirty Bastard talking about the government. Hopefully you can hear it. Let's start it back over. He keeps saying it's the government though, and like, you know.
But it's like sometimes I start to think like the hip hop audience ain't that intelligent sometimes, you know. But they don't pick up on it because they let the corniest shit get the most airplay. let's just stop this, alright? You know what I mean? The most unconscious shit get the most airplay. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? The government. Yeah, and then run up on me talking about keep it real. Don't run up on me saying keep it real if you ain't supporting the real. You know what I'm saying? Bottom line.
The government brainwash our people with command control. That's what they do. So it makes our people like it. They keep playing that same song. Same song keep playing.
Program.
Start to like it. Start to
Program.
start to clone. So therefore the clone it just takes over. Takes over the human body. Takes over the spirit. Takes over the soul.
We're gonna start pointing the thing anyway. With all the fake hip hop shit.
When we say the fake hip hop shit, we talking about the government.
Listen, I love the government, man. CIA, FBI, I love y'all niggas. Don't come knocking on my fucking door.
I love them too. They all my children.
Keep us safe.
Okay, USA. I'm not crazy at all. Okay? Everybody always saying that Dirty is crazy. Dirty is not crazy at all. Dirty just foresee a lot that a lot of people don't foresee.
All day, Bob.
So, I mean, how interesting. Hopefully you could hear that. Old dirty bastard talking about it's the government brainwashing people and all kinds of stuff. He posted on the day that his sister says that he supposedly died or whatever. But there's another video on here I found just really strange. He's with some guy in an Orioles hat, and they're like by this cross, and I don't know, I just find it really strange. So let's just watch this video. Take what you want from it.
Jesus, I put your name on high. In Jesus Christ, my spirit and soul are saved.
Well, let's go. Hey, this is where it's at right here. This is where we bird. Let's start coming here, getting a peace, getting right.
Circle life. Only through death will there be new life.
That's right. So this is not what everybody's peace. This cross is just electric to me. It's here for a reason. I've been seeing this cross for a decade. You know, and it's time I started using it. Me and Bird have been driving by this cross for years.
I've seen this cross thousands of times. But the thing is, I didn't know that I've seen this cross thousands of times. But I've seen it in your subconscious because everything that you've seen ever is in your subconscious. Everything you've read ever is in your subconscious. Everything you've heard ever is in your subconscious.
Your program goes through it. It comes up in certain times.
That's what our computers are programmed.
Okay, so our brains.
Our brains are computers.
Like it's crazy. A computer can
It's raining on us. God rained down manna. God rained down manna.
A computer can hold like 250,000 images. Your brain can hold billions.
Billions.
So
I'm talking billions.
like our brains are smarter than
I'm
this.
talking no ceiling.
Don't let this computer in your hand make you dumber than this computer. That's the problem. Be smarter than this computer because you are.
Like leaning on the calculator and meet the one that made you.
Bro,
That's a freestyle.
Okay, I'm getting ready to leave.
That's God's word.
Hey, give me one picture back there of just me like hugging my seat.
Lord, I love you so much.
Now, that just seems very strange. He's talking about, people getting into your subconscious and people programming you, or your brain is a program and whatnot. And he's even wearing the king shirt. I mean, come on. All of the Prince symbolism that I'm talking about, and then he's wearing a shirt with a king on it. I mean, that really makes me wonder. Did he really get murdered, or is he just playing his part for the whole thing? If he isn't, then they're using all of this weird stuff, and they programmed him to kill himself, or they killed him. I don't know, but it's very, very strange stuff. If you couldn't hear the video, just go to type in his Facebook, Brandon Bourbon. You'll find it on his Facebook. I mean, this was on March 28th. If he really died on April 2nd, that's only a few days difference. Just seems like a very, very strange video to me, especially when the last video that he has is this video about, ODB talking about the government controlling people, mind controlling people. Really makes me wonder. So I looked up Old Dirty Bastard. He died on November 13th, 2004. The day that leaves 48 days in the year. Also had a date numerology of 48. If you write out 48, it equals 133. The word government equals 133. White House equals 133. But just think about it in regards to that video and him talking about the government. If you write out his name, it equals 168, just like Queen Elizabeth II. In English gematria, his name is 1008, which if you did it as a date, it even reminds me a lot of October 8th. Possibly, you know, a stretch, just throwing it out there. Brandon Bourbon then dies on 4/8, just after he posts his last video is about ODB, and ODB who dies on a date numerology of 48 on a day that leaves 48 days in the year. Prince Charles I in the English Civil War died at the age of 48. If you write out Charles II, it equals 48. Prince Charles, who will become King Charles III if Queen Elizabeth dies, was born in 1948. There's been a lot of stuff that showed me the 217 number as well. The 48th day of the year is 217. Donald Trump equals 48 in gematria. Just really makes me wonder about a lot of this stuff. I've wondered if Prince Charles is gonna die, or if literally he's gonna become the new king, or what. But there's a lot of just connections going on all over the place, and a lot of it leads back to the royal family. A lot of it leads back to Obama. You know, they're all connected too. Prince Charles, the small way, equals 68. Barack Obama equals 68. Donald John Trump equals 68. Pope Francis equals 68. Hillary Clinton right now is 68 years old. 68 was a super big number in regards to 9/11. 1968 was 33 years before 9/11. 911 became the emergency dialing code in 1968, the same year that George Bush graduated from Yale Skull and Bones. The World Trade Centers were built on August 6th, which can be written as 6/8 of the year 68. That's when the construction began. I mean, 68, a very, very important number. And, you know, I think I know why, partially. If you write out 68 as a word, it equals 56 the small way, which is a number that is just surrounded by all kinds of big events that happen. Osama bin Laden equals 56. Adolf Hitler equals 56. Saddam Hussein equals 56. Paris, France equals 56. ISIS equals 56. The Declaration of Independence, signed by 56 signers. John Hancock, the first one, he died age 56. The last person who signed it to die died 56 years later. His name was Charles Carroll III. Think about that in regards to King Charles III. I mean, 56, a huge number. Even when we had the missing flight on May 19th, Malcolm X's birthday, it was literally 56 passengers going to Cairo, Egypt that equals 56, leaving Paris, France. I mean, it's all a big joke. It's all just a super scripted whatever. So anyway, I was looking up ODB here, and the last album that he put out was a mixtape. And I mean, just look at it. Osiris. I mean, come on. Why are all of the famous people into the Egyptian stuff? How do people not understand that? And it's funny because when I was in high school, I never noticed it. Even the band like Crazy Town that has the Butterfly song. I mean, even them, if you go back and listen to their album, it's all about this type of stuff. And it has been for years. And it just makes me wonder why so many people can't understand that and notice it even, you know? Most people they just put it off, you know? It's just like, come on. And I mean, then when people started noticing it, they turned everything into a joke, and they say, oh, they're Illuminati and everything else, you know? It's just, they turned it all into a big joke after lots of people start talking about it, just to keep the kids thinking that it's a joke, you know? And it literally works. And a lot of kids don't even ever want to look more into it. They just accept it, and they think it's some type of joke, you know? It's just frustrating. Anyway, the last thing I want to talk about, in regards to Brandon Bourbon then, his name equals 155. His supposed sister messaged me 155 days after the day she said that he died. I've been talking a whole lot about this Native American theme that I keep seeing and how it seems to be connected to the area that I live. In regards to 68, the town that I live in equals 68. The town I live in also famous for killing the last keeper of the sacred pole of the Omaha Indians in the year 1868. And then when the Indians were going to come kill everybody, the whole town was saved by the Freemasons, which, just pretty strange to think about. I've mentioned this before. I don't want to keep rambling on. I just want to finish this video up. But in regards to the 155, the last keeper of the sacred pole of the Omaha Indians was Yellow Smoke, who equals 155. And I even talked about how Kevin Costner plays Jim Garrison, the lawyer on the movie JFK. He's actually from the town that is 19 miles away called Denison, Iowa. And that is the town that has Yellow Smoke Park. And also you have Brandon Scherf, the Washington Redskin, who is from that town. I mean, just think about the Native American connection. Talked about that in the death of Kyle Calloway, too, the former Iowa football player. He died in Vail, Arizona. The next closest town to this Yellow Smoke Park, Vail, Iowa. And, there's a whole bunch of other stuff in regards to it. The boy getting ate by the alligator, all kinds of stuff. But just wanted to point it out. There's a Native American theme that I keep noticing. Kevin Costner equals 155. I even talked about how the movie Field of Dreams had predicted the World Series in 1989. It comes up and it says Archibald Graham Wright, 1922. Well, that was the year the New York Giants played in a Subway Series. The New York Giants turned into the San Francisco Giants. In 1989, the San Francisco Giants played the Oakland A's, and it was a crosstown series just like the Subway Series of 1922. Anyway, the Oakland A's won that World Series. Oakland Athletics equals 155. Kevin Costner 155. Earlier in this year as well, we got a story of the death of a guy famous for being in the movie Dances with Wolves. And his name was Chief David Bald Eagle. And just think about that story in regards to the Civil War, Dances with Wolves. Talked about the connection from Lupercalia and Teen Wolf to Nebraska and the Nebraska Cornhuskers and a whole bunch of other stuff. But also it has the Civil War theme in it. Kansas, in regards to Brandon Bourbon, is a very special place. Kansas was the 34th and last state to join the Union. They joined the Union 34 days before Abraham Lincoln became the president on 3/4. So lots of stuff going on with that story as well. But Chief Bald Eagle, he also died the same day that they reported Brandon Bourbon dying. And he died at the age of 84, 4/8, which can also be 8/4. And throughout this video, I said a lot of the stuff they're trying to show me is the 108 symbolism. October 8th, 10/8 is the day that leaves 84 days left in the year. 84 is a very special number. The United States of America equals 84. Revolutionary War equals 84. George III, the king that we were fighting against, equals 84. Obama equals 84, born on 8/4. Pope Francis, the first Jesuit pope. Jesuit equals 84. Pope Francis, born on a date numerology of 84. The president of France, he even has a gematria of 84. Can't think of his name right now. Baton Rouge, Louisiana equals 84. Lots and lots of 84 stuff around Donald Trump as well. And interesting, the book 1984, next year will be 33 years since that book came out, or 33 years after 1984. I mean, just think about that in regards to 68 and 9/11. So, who knows? Just wanted to point some of them interesting things out. Hopefully I didn't lose you. Some other 155s. It's been 155 years since the Civil War began this year. Also, Trump's Vice President, Michael Richard Pence, equals 155. He shares the same birthday as Prince, the singer, 6/7. A whole lot of stuff I've talked about that connects back to 6/7 and 7/6, and Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, both equal 67. The stories came out on July 6, 7/6, or 6/7. Blue Lives Matter equals 67. Anyway, if you go from that date, 6/7, to Election Day, 155 days. So pretty interesting. The word Christianity equals 155. I also wrote Rockefeller Records in here, 155, because that was what ODB's final album was that wasn't released. Or that's what it was on, so who knows, just interesting. I also noticed a Native American theme in a video that hopefully I'll make in a few more days, or possibly tomorrow if I get time. But it's in regards to Adam Jones, the Baltimore Oriole, who just came out and said baseball is a white man's game. And when you think of that story, white man's game, you don't think of African Americans saying the white man. You think of Native Americans saying the white man or whatever, you know? Just from movies and what you've been programmed. And I mean, Baltimore is where the first death of the Civil War was. And that's why I find it interesting, the guy in this video down here, the other guy, whoever it is. If somebody knows, that'd be awesome. But in this other video, the guy's wearing the Baltimore Orioles hat. I mean, it just makes me wonder if there's something more significant going on with that. In the video that I'm going to make, I'm going to talk about how when him saying white man, baseball is a white man's game, it actually connects back to Francis Scott Key, the guy who wrote the Star-Spangled Banner. But I'm going to end the video here. Just wanted to put this video out, show you some weird things, show you another example of when YouTube leaves comments, or I get weird comments, or YouTube copyright claims my videos. It's always on an old video. It always syncs up to other stuff. And it always matches the date. It always matches the gematria. Happens all the time. So, who knows? Take what you want from it. Have a good one.